Have you ever left for a trip, or maybe just ended a phone call with someone you care about, and almost immediately felt this sharp little pang of anxiety?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right. You start wondering, like, did we leave things in a good place? Was I too harsh?
Did I actually say what I needed to say?
Exactly. It's a terrible feeling. And that specific lingering tension happens when we fail to live by a concept that a philosopher named Shui Feng calls being fully accounted.
Right.
So today, we're doing a deep dive into a recently translated essay, an English version edited by Kinyu, that treats this everyday anxiety not just as a quirk of human psychology, but like a full-blown existential crisis.
Which, I mean, it kind of is.
Yeah, the entire piece revolves around a single, really profound maxim, originally coined by a spiritual teacher named Dion Celestial of Lifechanyuan. And the maxim is simply, anywhere, anytime, fully accounted.
Which sounds simple, but is actually incredibly difficult in
For
practice.
sure.
And while Swifting weaves together this massive tapestry of different traditions here, I mean, everything from Zen Buddhism to Jesus, our goal today isn't to evaluate theology.
Right, we're looking at this impartially.
Exactly. We are looking at it as a psychological framework.
Yeah.
Because when you strip away the metaphysical language, it is fundamentally a survival strategy.
A survival strategy for, well, modern life.
Yeah, it's a method for living without the crushing weight of regret in a world that is completely fundamentally unpredictable.
Right, and to actually pull that off, to live without that regret, Shuefeng first demands that we look reality dead in the eye. The essay really doesn't pull any punches about the nature of the world.
No, it doesn't. It leans heavily on radical impermanence.
It brings up that ancient philosophical idea that, no one steps in the same river twice.
Yeah.
Because the water is always flowing.
Yeah.
The river you step into today is literally made of different material than the one you stepped into yesterday.
It's a terrifying thought if you dwell on it, which is exactly why humans usually don't.
We actively avoid it.
We do. We have this psychological defense mechanism where we just operate under the illusion of stability. But Swething shatters that by pointing to the suddenness of major shifts.
Like natural disasters.
Yeah, he uses the examples of earthquakes or tsunamis. You can have a life built over decades, a house, a career, a routine, and in 3 minutes of seismic activity, the entire landscape of your reality is permanently altered.
It's just gone.
Right. Small changes happen daily, but the catastrophic ones happen in a blink.
And he juxtaposes those massive, violent natural disasters with something incredibly delicate to make the same point, which really caught my attention.
The poem.
Yes, there's this beautiful, haunting poem quoted in the essay. It goes, last year on this day, within this gate, human faces and peach blossoms reflected in red.
Such striking imagery.
Right, and then it contrasts that memory with the harsh reality of the present day. You're nowhere to be found while the peach blossoms still smile in the breeze.
The contrast there is what makes it so poignant. The peach blossoms, like nature, the seasons, the indifferent universe, they return.
Yeah, they have a cyclical permanence.
Exactly. But our specific human connections do not. They can vanish without a trace, leaving only the backdrop behind.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the peach blossom imagery really hits hard. It makes me think about how we operate in our daily lives.
How so?
Well, living without being fully accounted, to me, is like having 100 unsaved tabs open on your computer when the power suddenly goes out. You lose all that data.
There's a perfect modern analogy.
Right. But in this case, the unsaved tabs are unsaid words, pending apologies, the I love yous we thought we'd say tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I do have to ask you, is Huifeng just asking us to have a morbid obsession with our own mortality?
I see where you're going with this.
Because walking around terrified of the power going out doesn't sound like enlightenment. It sounds like a panic attack.
You're touching on the exact paradox the essay wrestles with. The goal isn't to induce a panic attack. It's to induce clarity. Think about it. We procrastinate on our emotional lives far more than we procrastinate on our work. We assume there is always a tomorrow to balance the ledger.
We just take time for granted.
Completely. Shufeng is arguing that this acute awareness of death actually forces us to live vibrantly. When you truly internalize that your farewell to a loved one this morning might be a final parting, it strips away the petty grievances.
It removes the friction that stops you from being kind.
Exactly. It's not about being morbid. It's about waking up from the trance of assumed time.
It's realizing that hoarding our emotional capital makes absolutely no sense.
Right. I mean, think about the psychology of holding a grudge.
Exhausting.
It is, but we hold grudges because we feel like it protects us or gives us power, and we think we have the luxury of time to eventually let it go.
Oh, wow. We think we have time to be mad.
Yes. Understanding that life is a journey where any moment could be the final stop is a catalyst. It shifts the philosophy from abstract theory into immediate, urgent action.
Which begs the question, like, what does that action actually look like?
Right.
It's one thing to realize a tsunami can wipe out your life tomorrow. It's another to actually wake up on a Tuesday, go to work, and function with that mindset.
Well, Shuafeng does lay out some practical steps, but he wraps them in some pretty heavy psychological and metaphysical demands.
The ground level practice is deceptively simple, though.
It is. Living anywhere, anytime, fully accounted, means constantly sharing your deepest blessings and praise with the people you care about.
It's performing small acts of kindness without waiting for the perfect opportunity.
Yes, and actively maintaining a clear conscience so you can fully sink into the joy of the present moment. But you're right, the barrier to doing this is massive.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the barrier is the concept of ownership.
Exactly.
The essay argues that the very idea of saying this is mine or that is mine is an illusion. And not just an illusion, but literally the root source of human suffering.
Yeah, and it goes deeper than just material goods, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yufeng's metaphysical view is that Earth is not our permanent home. Our existence here is temporary, a fleeting arrangement brought about by fate.
Okay.
Because we are basically just passing through, there is no need for excessive sadness or worry over losing things, because nothing here ever truly belonged to us in the first place.
Wait, hold on. I need to jump in here.
Sure.
Because it is very easy to sit on a meditation cushion and say nothing is mine in a lofty philosophical sense.
Of course.
But you and I and everyone listening live in a tangible capitalist world. We have rent.
Yes, we do.
We have 30-year fixed-rate mortgages. I definitely own that debt. I own my car.
The practical reality.
Right. So how does letting go of the concept of ownership actually function in modern society? And more importantly, how does it help us settle our emotional ledgers with the people around us?
There's a subtle but really crucial distinction there. Yufeng isn't telling you to tear up your mortgage documents or stop paying your car loan.
Well, that's good.
He is attacking the psychological attachment you have to those things. When we claim ownership, we attach our identity to the object or the status.
Ah, I see.
If you lose your house and your identity is wrapped up in being a homeowner, you suffer an existential collapse.
It breaks you.
Right. But if you view the house as simply a temporary shelter, you are responsible for maintaining while you're here stewardship rather than ownership. You can still pay the mortgage, but you don't suffer the deep, soul-crushing terror of losing it.
Ah, so it's the difference between caring for something and clinging to it.
Exactly. And the essay gets very specific about what we actually retain when everything else falls away.
With that.
It claims that in the end, we take nothing with us except the non-material structure of our own life.
Which it poetically calls the spirit light of our awareness.
Yes, everything else is just set dressing.
The spirit light of our awareness. That's a fascinating way to describe human consciousness stripped of ego and titles.
It is, and when you apply that to your relationships, it answers your question about emotional ledgers.
How so?
If you realize you don't truly own your partner, your children, or your friends, that they are just fellow travelers you get to walk with for a while, you stop taking them for granted.
Oh, wow. You stop sacrificing today's connection for some imagined future.
Precisely. Shuifeng is warning us not to let regret arise at the threshold of life and death, which is usually when people finally realize they didn't own any of it anyway.
But by then, it's too late.
Exactly. To be fully accounted is to act and speak as the present moment requires without holding back.
Okay, so intellectually, this makes total sense. Stop clinging to the illusion of ownership. Stop hoarding your unsaid words.
Much easier said than done.
Right. Implementing this is incredibly difficult because our brains are wired to cling. So Shuifeng throws this wild, visceral thought experiment at the reader to test if they are actually achieving this state.
The Jesus thought experiment.
Yes. He brings Jesus into the picture.
He does, and it's a brilliant psychological litmus test. He asks the reader to imagine a very direct scenario.
What is it?
Imagine Jesus suddenly appears before you, right now, in this exact moment, and tells you it is time to leave this world immediately.
Right now, not in 10 minutes. No time to pack a bag.
Nope.
No time to send one last text message. No time to clear your browser history.
Right.
You just have to walk out the door.
That's the prompt. And then the essay asks, are there things you can't let go of? Do you have unpaid debts? Are there people you are desperate to call?
Oh, man.
If the answer is yes, if you feel a surge of panic and cling to the world, then you have not been living anywhere, anytime, fully accounted.
I love this experiment because it bypasses all our philosophical defenses.
It really does.
Like, if you're listening to this right now and you imagine that scenario whose name instantly pops into your head, who are you drafting a frantic text message to in your mind?
Exactly.
That surge of panic you feel, that is the exact indicator of an unpaid emotional debt. It shows you precisely where your attachments are.
And it's crucial to note how universally Shuifeng applies this concept.
He's not just talking to Christians.
Not at all. He uses the Jesus thought experiment because it's culturally resonant for many, but he goes out of his way to synthesize multiple traditions.
Right. He states that living fully accounted aligns with Tao.
Which is the ancient Chinese concept of the fundamental natural order of the universe?
He also aligns it with prajna, the Buddhist concept of supreme, intuitive wisdom that pierces through illusions.
He describes it as the perfect realization on the Bodhi path, a whisper of Zen, and a divine revelation.
He's basically saying, look, I don't care what vocabulary you use. I don't care what tradition you grew up in. This is a fundamental law of human gravity.
Precisely. It's an underlying truth of the human condition.
And he uses these evocative metaphors, calling this state a boat to cross the river of life.
And a finger pointing to the moon. He even talks about the gates of heaven, explicitly noting that they are wide open to everyone.
Christians, Buddhists, Muslims, the good and the bad across all races.
Yes, but he makes a point to emphasize that actually walking through those gates is unimaginably difficult.
Because of the baggage?
Exactly.
He asks this amazing question. If an earthly paradise opened up right here, could we truly abandon everything and walk forward without looking back?
Most of us couldn't.
Right. How many unfulfilled dreams weigh on us? How many attachments linger? Which leads me to another friction point.
Go ahead.
Shuifeng openly admits this is brutally hard because of our worldly bonds. So what is the expectation here? Are we supposed to literally abandon our families, quit our jobs, and walk into the woods to achieve this state?
The text is incredibly self-aware about this friction, actually.
Okay.
Shuifeng writes, saying it is easy, doing it is difficult.
Understatement of the year.
Right. But if we look closely at the psychological framework, he is not advocating for the physical abandonment of your responsibilities. You don't achieve peace by abandoning your children.
That would be the opposite of being fully accounted.
Exactly. He is advocating for a continuous, rigorous internal audit.
An internal audit.
Yes. When he talks about walking forward without looking back, he means ensuring your spirit is at peace. It's about continuously clearing your conscience, so that if the moment came to depart, you wouldn't be dragged backward by the agonizing weight of regret.
So it's a state of psychological readiness.
You are fully engaged with your life, your family, your work, but your bags are essentially packed. You're ready to transition at any moment without feeling like you left a mess behind.
Okay, so let's say we managed to do this internal audit. We clear our ledgers.
We stop clinging to the illusion that we own our houses and our relationships forever.
And we pass the sudden departure thought experiment without panicking.
A huge achievement.
It is. So Shuifeng promises a very specific and honestly a very extreme reward for all this effort. He promises total fearlessness.
That is the culmination of this philosophy. He calls it great liberation.
Achieving the state of anywhere, anytime, fully accounted means that the light of your life shines completely and brightly in the present moment.
And because you are hiding nothing and regretting nothing, fear evaporates.
So what does this all mean? The language he uses to describe this invulnerability is wild.
It's very dramatic.
He claims that if you reach this inner freedom, you won't fear the collapse of the sky and earth. You won't even fear magnetic pole reversals.
Right.
He says worldly clamor and stormy winds won't faze you. And he goes so far as to say that blade and fire cannot harm a single hair.
It is highly evocative poetic imagery.
But I have to push back here.
Okay.
A literal fire is going to burn you. A blade is going to cut you. If this is a practical strategy for life, claiming you are immune to physical destruction sounds like pure delusion.
You're entirely right to call out the literal interpretation, because that's not what he means at all.
What is he actually getting at with this extreme rhetoric?
He frames practicing anywhere, anytime, fully counted as an excellent path for self-improvement. The invulnerability he's talking about is entirely psychological and spiritual. If you remember the premise from earlier, that the physical body and the material world are just temporary shells, and the only enduring thing is the spirit light of our awareness, then the fire and the blade lose their ultimate power.
Because they can only destroy the temporary shell. They can't touch the core of who you are.
Exactly. If your spirit is fully accounted, if your emotional ledger is completely clear of remorse and regret, then even an apocalyptic event like a magnetic pole reversal is just, well, a transition.
It might be a physically painful transition, but it doesn't cause existential dread.
You become bulletproof to the psychological terror of death because you are perpetually ready to embark on new life and new experiences. Your mind and body resonate in pure joy in the present, regardless of external chaos.
It's a profound way to reframe our interaction with reality.
It really is.
So let's distill all of this for you, the listener, right now. We've waded through some sweeping, ancient, poetic language today.
But at the bottom of all of it is an urgently practical message.
Stop acting like you have an infinite amount of time. Clear your emotional debts today. Tell the people you love that you love them. Apologize for the thing you've been putting off.
Close those unsaved tabs.
Exactly.
And the application of this could not be more vital for the era we live in. We exist in a constant state of information overload and future-focused anxiety.
We are always worrying about what happens next week, next month, next year.
Treating every single interaction as if it might literally be the last time you ever see that person is the ultimate grounding technique.
It violently pulls you out of your hypothetical anxieties and forces you to be hyper-present.
It makes the current moment undeniably real.
Which brings us full circle to that pang of anxiety we started with, that uncomfortable feeling when you end a call and wonder if you left things in a good place.
This framework, anywhere, anytime, fully accounted, is the permanent antidote to that anxiety.
If you actually live this way, you never have to wonder if you left things in a good place because you never leave a room without balancing the ledger.
You can close your eyes in absolute peace, no matter where you are, no matter what happens next.
It's a heavy but incredibly liberating thought. But before we wrap up today's deep dive, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over.
We've talked a lot about Shifeng's focus on being fully accounted with the external world, leaving no unpaid debts with your family, your friends, or even your enemies.
But what if the person you most urgently need to be fully accounted with isn't out there in the world? What if it's actually yourself?
Oh, wow.
Have you settled the debts of forgiveness and acceptance that you owe to your own past mistakes? Have you cleared the ledger with former versions of yourself so that you aren't dragging your own heavy regrets into tomorrow? Keep those tabs saved, and we will see you next time.